Welcome to the How to Manage and Add Student Test Settings in the Test Information Distribution Engine, TIDE, training video. In this training, we will review how to manage and add student information first, and then how to manage and add test attributes. Let us review how district and campus testing coordinators can manage and add student information in TIDE. First, we will show you how to manually edit a student's information, such as demographics, additional student information, test eligibility, and test format. Here you see the Manage Student page showing the search criteria fields. Required criteria are marked with asterisks. Other criteria are optional. You can further refine your criteria by selecting options from the drop-down menu under Advanced Search. Click the Add Selected button and use the drop-down menu to further refine your search. Let us look up a sample student by entering the TSDS ID. Click Search to continue, and then select View Results. For column and visual customization options, click the Customize drop-down menu in the upper right corner of the results. You can customize which information should be displayed, such as a student's information and test settings, as well as customizing text sizes and the row background. Click Apply Changes to customize your view. To view or edit a student's information, including test settings and accommodations, click the three dots to open the Row Actions menu and select Edit Student. Please note that fields shaded in gray cannot be modified. Scroll down to view the student's enrollment information. For those districts and campuses participating in STAR interim assessments, a student's interim assessment grades will be set automatically based on his or her corresponding enrolled grade. If students are taking an above or below grade interim assessment or an end of course (EOC) interim assessment, be sure to indicate the additional grades and EOC assessments here. Please note that all students will be defaulted to the online test mode. In order to receive materials for the State of Texas Assessments of Academic Readiness, STAR, in the initial order shipment, districts and campuses will need to select the test mode of paper and the paper test format for the applicable tests prior to the close of the test administration's initial order window. For the Texas English Language Proficiency Assessment System, TELPAS, and TELPAS Alternate, the initial order shipment will include TELPAS Test Administrator Manuals, TELPAS Paper Reading Tests, and TELPAS Alternate Observable Behaviors based on the student eligibility noted in TIDE by the due date indicated on the calendar of events. For TELPAS Paper Reading Tests, districts will also need to select the test mode of paper and the paper test format for the applicable test. For both STAR and TELPAS, if the required fields in the Additional Student Information panel are not selected, the student will not be considered eligible for a special administration, and no test materials will be shipped, even if the test mode and paper test format fields on this page are selected here. For more information, refer to the Special Administration page in the District and Campus Coordinator resources. In the Non-Embedded Supports panels, you can make the applicable selections to indicate what supports are provided to the student outside of the online system. On the Test Attributes tab under Test Attributes, you can turn on embedded supports, such as text-to-speech and content and language supports, for eligible students. You can also change presentation from English to Spanish for eligible grades 3 to 5 students, or to Braille for students using refreshable Braille. For eligible students to receive embedded support options for STAR-released items on the Texas Formative Assessment Resource, TFAR, tests, users should use the respective subjects to turn on applicable supports. We will review how users can manage test attributes in more detail in a later section. Let us edit this student's test setting. Recently, this student's admission, review, and dismissal, ARD, committee, agreed that she needs a paper STAR test with embedded supports for this school year. Because she is in grade 6, we will modify her test settings for mathematics and RLA. First, we will make sure that Yes is selected for the Special Ed Indicator Code field. Scroll down to the Test Format Indicator panel, find the Mathematics and RLA drop-down menu under Test Mode, and select Paper for both subjects. Under STAR and TELPAS Paper Test Format, select Regular Print Embedded Supports for Mathematics and RLA. Be sure to save before you exit this page. On the pop-up message that appears, select Continue to return to the search results page, or dashboard to be taken to the TIDE dashboard. Let us look up and edit another student's test setting. This grade 9 student is currently enrolled in English 1 and Biology, and he will take the STAR EOC assessments in those courses during the spring administration. First, scroll down to the Student Eligibility Summative panel, find Biology and English 1 under Spring EOC Eligibility, and select Yes for both courses. This student is now eligible for the English 1 and Biology assessments during the Spring STAR administration. Be sure to save before exiting this page. Designated TIDE users can now view the student record history, such as the history of recent changes, student information and test settings, enrollment and rosters, and test eligibilities, by selecting the History tab on the Student Information page. The student record history contains comprehensive details about any modifications made to a student's record, including both active and inactive statuses, as well as the username or process that initiated the change. The updates displayed on this page are limited to the current administration year. In this example, you can see the changes we just made to this grade 6 student. For more information about the student record history and its features, please refer to the TIDE User Guide in the Coordinator Resources. Use the Upload button on the student information card to upload many students at once. It is important to note that when differences in data exist, TIDE will update and override information based on the most recently uploaded data file. If some fields in the data file are left blank unintentionally, TIDE will retain the existing data. For more information about which fields will not be overridden by blank values, and additional guidance on how to prepare the Upload Student Information file, please refer to TIDE Upload File Formats in the Technology Resources page of the Texas Assessment website. The upload process has 4 steps: upload, preview, validate, and receive confirmation. Student files that contain 2,000 or more records are processed offline, while displaying the validation results for the first 200 records. TIDE will first validate the remaining records offline and send a validation report via email. TIDE will then commit or upload the error-free records and send a report listing all errors and warnings via email. First, click Download a Template to download a template for your upload file. You will be given the option to download the file in Microsoft Excel or as a CSV format. Open the template, enter information for the students you wish to add using Microsoft Excel or another program. Once you return to TIDE, click Choose File or use the drag and drop feature to upload the file you just saved. Click Next. The Upload Preview screen appears. If everything is accurate, proceed to confirm. If your file contains any errors or warnings, the table provides a summary of the validation errors. From the Details table, you may click the red X button next to each individual error to see what each error is and how to resolve it. To access the Tutorials page from the information column of the summary table, users need to hover over the red X button and choose View a Tutorial. This option is particularly useful for addressing specific issues, such as cases where certain columns in Microsoft Excel need to be set to a text format to prevent the removal of leading zeros or the automatic formatting of dates. District and campus testing coordinators can use the Upload Additional Student Fields option to add or modify students' attributes without having to upload an entire student information file. Another advantage to using this option is to allow users to make multiple changes to a single student without affecting the student's entire record. To use this option, please note that student records must exist in TIDE first. You should download the template and fill out the fields for students whose attributes need to be modified. If you need to add or modify multiple attributes, multiple rows with the same ID are required, as only one attribute can be listed in a single row. For example, if a student was recently identified as an emergent bilingual English learner and at risk, you will need to include 2 rows with the same TSDS ID. A row to indicate emergent bilingual English learner and another row to indicate at risk. Next, we will change the above grade level information for a grade 5 student who will be taking a grade 6-star mathematics test. Use the action column on the template to add or delete a value for the row. When you are finished with the file, click Choose File, or drag and drop the file to make the necessary changes in Tide. Please note that files containing 2,000 or more records are processed offline while displaying the validation results for the first 200 records. Now we will look at how to manage test attributes for online assessments. Here you see the Manage Test Attributes page showing the search criteria fields. Required criteria are marked with asterisks. Other criteria are optional. Let us look up a sample student by entering the TSDS ID. To edit a student's test attribute, click the three dots to find the Row Actions menu. Click Edit Test Settings, and this will bring up the Test Attributes tab. If you need to make any changes, select the On/Off buttons. The Test Attributes tab is designed to include only online embedded supports. Let us review adding test attributes to a student. A student recently became eligible to receive content and language supports and text-to-speech, TTS, embedded supports, for STAR Mathematics and RLA assessments. First, locate content and language supports and text-to-speech under the Mathematics column, and then turn on both options. We will repeat the same steps for the RLA column. If students' test eligibilities change throughout the year, be sure to update their test attributes in this Test Attributes panel if you choose to do so manually. For eligible students, TELPAS test attributes can be set on this page as well. Be sure to save before you exit this page. The Upload Test Attributes task is found on the Test Attributes card. From this page, you can download the template in Microsoft Excel or CSV format, fill out the necessary information, and then upload that file. You will notice that there will be a drop-down option in the subject, tool name, and value columns to select what students should receive on their online tests. As we previously discussed in the Additional Student Fields task, you must include one attribute in a single row. If you are adding content and language supports in mathematics and RLA to a grade 3 student, you will need to include two rows with the same TSDS ID, one row with content and language supports for mathematics, and another row with content and language supports for RLA. In the next example, we will set the presentation to Spanish for a grade 5 student who will be taking STAR Spanish Mathematics, RLA, and science tests. In the next example, we will enable speech-to-text for this student's TELPAS reading and writing test. When you are finished with the file, select Choose File or drag and drop the file to make the necessary changes in Tide. Test attribute files that contain 1,000 or more records are processed offline while displaying the validation results for the first 200 records. Tide will first validate the remaining records offline and send a validation report via email. Tide will then commit the error-free records and send a report listing all errors and warnings via email. Educators and technology staff may contact Texas Testing Support at 833-601-8821, at Texas Testing Support at cambiumassessment.com, or by using the chat feature located on the Texas Assessment Program website. This concludes the How to Manage and Add Student Test Settings in Tide training video. You may review the contents of this video by using the controls on your player.